All right, we'll start off with public comments. Are there any public comments? All right, moving right along. Acceptance of the minutes. And I have not had a chance to read the minutes, so I imagine they're in here.
They are.
They are.
Yeah, I saw. I saw the two when I was, yes, and then I went to get a cup of coffee and they were gone.
Yeah, I only saw the, like,
There's someplace in Worcester you used to be able to dine.
He's watching you.
Who said that?
Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a
the-
motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. New business. Public hearing request for determination of applicability for Ascomic Pond Association to remove milfoil.
It's the first packet you guys have in new business.
We have to close our regular meeting in order to have this public hearing request to determine this. All right.
There's a lot of supporting paperwork in there.
All right, is there any questions or conversation on this milfoil removal?
The only offer for the gentlemen who are looking into it, if you're not familiar with it, I can quickly summarize it.
All right, I'm familiar with it, but everybody isn't familiar with it.
Okay, so basically, Common Pond for a number of years has been privately funded with matching funds from the DCR to combat invasive milfoil. We're in the season's coming up when we can do that again by either pulling or a suction technique. That's what this paperwork is about. We wanna do it again. This year we've been asked to fill out some paperwork that we haven't in the past. So basically, we're using an acknowledged expert service. They come in, there's 4 small in the area places on the pond that we want them to come in. They can come in the end of May, and that's what we wanna do. We need permission, we need a permit from this body as well as from the state. So the overwhelming majority of that paperwork you have is nothing but background information and bona fides for the company that we're about to hire, and all the other work that we've done in the past with them to support that. They know what they're doing, this is an ongoing effort, and we need a permit from you guys so we can go ahead and do it again this year.
All right, this is gonna be done physically removed or?
Right, it's a boat that's gonna come out, it's gonna be diver assisted, and they have I haven't witnessed this myself, but it's a suction device.
Mhm.
And the areas which have already been marked for by various methods, gonna suck it out, they segregate it on a boat in bags, we're gonna take it offshore, get it away from the water, and they're gonna go through this area, just remove as much as you can, and then we'll dispose of it. And that's the plan for this, this is something we have to do pretty much every year now, because we can't eradicate it, and with all the additional recreational use of the pond, it seems to be getting a little bit worse each year. So far, we're not ahead of it, but we're keeping it
In check.
in check, and that's what we're hoping, we'll get a permit so we can continue to do that.
All right, the chair will
Mr.
entertain a
Chairman.
motion that, we accept that. Oh,
Mr. Chairman, could I speak to the issue shortly?
yes, you may.
First of all, I'd like to welcome to this meeting Jim Stropp. Jim works for DCR and has been helping us with DCR over the last 5 years to do 3 or 4 hand pullings and 1 dash removal of milfoil from the pond. And he loves Comet Pond just as much as we do, because he lives in Princeton and he fishes there from time to time. But he has been our primary contact and has put together the partnership of the Comet Pond Association and DCR. And we submit money to them and get a matching grant from DCR, and that's how we will pay for this.
Are we losing?
Yeah, we have New England Milfoil coming down from Maine. They've been in business for 25 years. They have provided us, and we've provided the board with all of their safety procedures and all of their procedures on how they will actually do the work and pull the milfoil from the ground and then put it into a suction that will bring it up to the boat. And they have all sorts of safety procedures. They'll make sure that their boat is washed before it enters the pond. And they have procedures that also will allow us to get rid of the milfoil that will be in no way any danger to re-entering the pond or any other pond. So that's just an overview.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Does anybody else wanna speak on this? All right, I'll entertain a motion that we sign the paperwork.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor? So be it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now,
Here's
one
the,
clarification.
I'd also
on
like to,
this.
while I'm here, I'd also like to thank Leanne for all of her work and putting all that information together that I sent her to get to you. She did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
So the question I have is that, because we've been doing this every year, and we anticipate having to do it every other year, I know Ed, at the end of one of those things, he's wondering if instead of having to do this every year, can we get permission, kind of a blanket for the next 3 years to entertain this? Or every time that we have to hire someone to come in, do we need to come before the board and get permission again?
I can't speak on that.
Okay.
I just don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
We could discuss it,
Yeah.
like at the next meeting, just take it under advisement, Steve, and see, I mean, it seems to be an ongoing operation. Obviously, it's for the betterment
Right.
of the pond, it seems to make sense, but making sense and doing things like that don't generally seem to be the way to do things.
You're right, and the real issue is not here with Hubbardson, it's getting the state to complete the lengthy paperwork. They're requiring a lot more than just coming to this meeting, and that's what we're
Yep.
really worried about. All right, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
So with the board's vote, we can move forward with our plans.
Yeah, they said, yeah, you just gotta resign from the Lake
the state.
Association.
We're all set, Ed, good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
April Fool's, Ed.
I don't think he heard you.
Thank you.
Everybody's leaving, that's been something I said.
That's a lot of work. Tons of emails.
Remember the next thing,
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Would've got that up to you.
Oh, no, that's okay.
is this, on this next thing, Tony, is this something that's been before the board, this expanding of a small pond? Not anything I've ever seen.
It
What's
was
that?
a long
On the
time,
next thing, the new
Welcome.
business?
Oh, well,
back when
Oh,
I,
Good, how are you?
it was back in what,
2017.
Yeah, 17, yeah.
Yep.
Cause I remember that.
How we doing?
Am I up?
You are up.
I'm not sure, I guess.
okay, one second.
Good time.
All right, public hearing request for determination of applicability for Christopher Environmental Association to expand the snow pond. I guess you're up.
I remember you.
Sure, I remember you too. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
I never thought I'd be back to see you guys here, but here I
same-
am.
The same small pond?
Yes, for those commissioners that don't know me, I'm Tom Christopher. I've been working on this site since
Forever.
2009, when it was a highly disturbed site. It was owned by Mark Andrews, and he let a gravel guy in there, and it was a disaster. The Conservation Commission put an enforcement order on him. That didn't make any difference, so DEP stepped in and EPA stepped in, and they ended up finally getting the gravel guy to stop, and he skipped town, gone. He didn't live in Hubbardston anyway, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name.
I don't either.
But anyway, there was a $25,000 fine, and Mr. Andrews was tasked with restoring the property. That's when I came in, and basically we spent almost 2 years to get it back to as an acceptable position. And we had 2 excavators, 2 bulldozers, a lot of equipment in there, some loaders. We took out in some cases 4 feet of silt, so on and so forth. So that was quite an extensive project. It was over 200 grand in 2009 dollars. When the work was complete, everybody signed off on it, EPA, DEP, and you folks. And it was sold to a woman by the name of Dr. Joey Edsel, who is a professor at UMass Lowell. And she got in touch with me and wanted to know what had happened to the site and what we had done to restore it. And I said, this is what we did. We did a land use history on it, which is like sort of a historical 21E. And at the end of that, she said, well, I'd like to do this little project. You know a contractor who can do that for you? And I knew it was gonna require permitting, because, you know, I can do that. So we've been there ever since. We've been in front of this commission, this might be our 6th time.
Oh, at least, yes.
Yeah, been here a long time. We've done everything from flagging wetlands to bringing in power to any number of activities that are required, either a determination of applicability or a notice of intent.
Just to make everybody familiar with this, this is right on 68, left-hand side, heading towards Gardner, if you're familiar or not familiar
So
with it.
where exactly is it?
About what number?
It's 231.
230.
And
What's it
it's-
close to, so I have some point of reference?
It's what you would know as the dog park.
You know, the guy that sold the fruit trees?
Yeah,
Over
Mr.
there.
Wag,
Yeah,
That's
just
right
before
behind
him,
that.
yeah. He was a big problem for us.
Like a half mile down the road from, where the marijuana places are, but on the left-hand side. Up front, all you see is a little house now,
Right.
was
a
that
little
where the pig
cave.
farmer was years ago?
They used to have, yes, they would, he had pigs and
Yeah.
something.
And then
Yeah.
they started taking gravel out of the back?
Absolutely,
Exactly.
that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I know where you are, I'm just not familiar with this
So-
myself, I wasn't.
What the property is used for is to train dogs, specifically her dogs.
Yeah,
And she has spent a lot of money on the dogs. She travels all over the country with the dog, or with her dogs. These are Labrador retrievers, and they're trained in field activities, not
Yeah, not show, not
Not competition
confirmation,
and things
not
like that.
confirmation or obedience, they're trained in
Yeah.
field.
And it's impressive to watch them do this. Those dogs, I swear, are smarter than I am. And when we came in front of the commission to dig the first pond, she needed a pond for training, and we filed a complete notice of intent at the time, and the commission granted us an order of conditions. We did the project in the fall, and the following year, we came back and we asked for a certificate of compliance, and the commission gave us a certificate of compliance. At the time that we permitted the pond, we permitted a very large area. When we actually did the construction, we reduced the size of that area substantially to about maybe half of it. That was good for the time, but now she's got some younger dogs and she needs more aquatic training. So essentially what we would like to do is go pretty much back to what was originally permitted. The reason we filed a determination of applicability, well, a couple of reasons. Number one, we now consider that an agricultural pond. There wasn't one there before, but there is one now. the DEP analyst took some exception to that, and maybe I'm pushing it a little bit, you know,
how are you framing it as an agricultural pond? Cause I mean, dogs aren't really agricultural
well,
to speak of.
and I think that's the point of contention. You know, if you had horses there, and we're breeding horses, there would be an agricultural pond. How much difference is there between a horse and a dog?
Ask a horse person.
Unfortunately, dogs do not qualify
You know,
in
I mean,
agriculture.
I understand
I'm
where
a
you're
dog
going with
person,
it.
I raise and show and
I
breed
mean,
dogs.
I don't think it's worth getting into a ginormous sweat about if it's something that was, you know, I personally don't remember it, cause I wasn't a member of the board, but if it was approved for that back in the day, are you looking to stay within that footprint?
Yes, and to get to your point, and I agree with you, you know, whether we declare it an agricultural pond or not is not a big deal. There are some differences in setbacks, from resource areas, but in this case, it really doesn't make any difference to us at all. So, you know, it is what it is, no big deal, we're never gonna argue with this commission or any commission, we just do what we
I
do.
honestly don't remember that it was built smaller than what was, agreed upon.
Quite
I-
a bit smaller, yeah.
I just don't remember that, and I do remember this project pretty well.
How long ago was this, Tony, back in, was this a?
Oh, this goes back, what, 5 years now, 4 years?
Oh, no,
Well, it goes back to 2009, but,
2017.
but
Oh,
since
okay, yeah.
but since the pond
So that's
is
8
what, well,
years.
maybe 10 years now since the pond. Time goes by so
Well,
damn
let me
quick.
see, it's,
So it's
8
17 and it's
8 years
25,
since
that's
the
8
pond,
years.
okay.
years. This is,
I remember the pond, I remember that I wanted to be sure that there was, an egress from the pond in case animals got in it, such as deer or so on and so forth, that they could get out and.
Yeah. This was the size of the original pond,
This right here,
yes.
okay,
And there is a wetland in here
yep,
that,
does that feed the pond?
it does. We have a seep
Yep,
from the edge of the wetland into the pond.
Yeah.
We also have, and that seep and, this wetland is fed from a small deep basin, which is right here,
Uh-huh.
and a larger deep basin, which is here. There's very high seasonal groundwater there, so this pond, rises or falls depending on whether we're in a drought condition or not.
Yep.
So anyway, this was the original size of the pond, and this is the size of it now. So essentially, what we wanna do is come up to the tree line. Again, stay away from the wetland there. You know, we spent a lot of time and money preserving that wetland to begin with, so we don't wanna mess
so
with that.
this is the pond right here?
Yeah.
With these fingers, like that?
Yes. Now, the reason for those fingers is their training points. Again, it's amazing to watch these dogs. We'll be up here, and, there will be somebody in here behind it, with a duck blind, behind the duck blind. And you'll hear a shot fired, and they will throw out a dead duck. Meanwhile, the dog is sitting up here, and he's shaking and quivering, and he wants to go. He wants to get that duck. He won't move until he gets a command. They'll go in, get the duck, and then with a whistle and a wand, they will direct the dog to the various points. It's amazing to see, it really is.
Mhm.
And, essentially, that's what we wanna do. And again, getting back to why we thought that, this only would require a determination of applicability is, you know, you already approved it once. And, you know, we're really not gonna do anything that wasn't originally approved.
This one on here, what's this? This isn't the tree line, is it?
No, this is tree line,
This is the tree line?
yeah,
And if this is the original scope
yeah.
of the project, right? And if I have that, Tony, just for a
Right
minute.
ahead.
If you look at this, you're talking about if this is this, except you're saying smaller, right? This is the tree
smaller.
line.
This is smaller,
If this was the tree line and this was the original scope of the project,
yeah.
then are you looking to expand this all the way out to the tree line? Because that would be beyond the original scope of that project, from what I'm seeing here. Now, I didn't see it before, I'm just going by, you're saying you plan to go right out to the tree line?
We
Are you
would-
going
we-
to
we
cut
would-
any more of the tree line back, or are you
No.
going to leave it the way it is?
No, we would stay, 10 feet, away from the tree line. And the tree line is pretty much hand-drawn in. The pond, again, originally was engineered. So that's why we submitted, a determination of applicability rather than a notice of intent. Now, when this went to DEP,
Let me turn this.
they
You
sent,
understand where I'm going with that?
Oh, absolutely.
they sent in some comments that,
There's a letter included in your packet
right,
that Brian asked that you read.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can pass too.
they wanted some additional features added to the plan, including, the floodplain and, the setbacks from, what was Hubbardston Brook. At the time of delineation, Hubbardston Brook wasn't Hubbardston Brook. It was a fairly large beaver pond.
Yeah,
And in 2023, in the fall, when we had all that heavy rain in September, the beaver pond breached. And, the result is an emerging wetland, with a number of pools. So it still qualifies as a wetland, rather than a riparian. There are a lot of new, younger people working with DEP, so they look at Mass GIS, if they see it, you know, that's what they're gonna go by. Basically, you have to ground truth everything, and, that's what we've done. So we went back to the engineer, and I brought in new plan, which you can have, which has added in the floodplains and the site setbacks. One of the, over here, so we're quite a ways away. One of the other questions that the DEP analyst had was, she wanted a flood rate, a basic flood rate for Hubbardston, and Hubbardston does not have one. I just found that out this morning from the engineer. And again, floodplain maps are more a guideline than they are 100% accurate.
You know, I looked at this pond after it was in. Boy, I don't know, maybe, well, of course I'm getting old, but I don't remember those fingers in that pond. I remember that pond pretty much as what you showed me as drawn. This is what I remember it pretty much looking at when I looked at the finished project. I don't remember these fingers being in it. I kind of remember a rectangle like this. So, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if some digging wasn't done after the pond was
Is this,
finished.
this going to be the new pond perimeter that you're looking for?
Yes,
And this is going to be the forest land around it?
yes, and, this is the lines of, mitigation. I'm not worried too much about mitigation up here.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm just gonna put in silt fence, cause we want the water coming in.
Yeah,
But down here,
cause this is the wetland edge, this is where it's gonna
Right.
feed. All right, yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, that's what we wanna do there. So.
Now, has
yes.
DCR seen this at
Not
this
yet.
point?
No.
No, okay.
What about DEP?
DEP.
No, I just got this map at 4:30.
Okay.
Well, it's almost 7:30, what, you didn't shoot right over there?
It must be still warm. Yeah.
I'm telling you, to get anybody to do your work today is
We
a
can keep
challenge.
this.
You can keep that, yes.
Okay.
I'll take this one back.
Yeah.
We have copies in the office as well as online too.
Wish you just
Yeah, yeah. So, I think,
Now, does this pond here show a shallow point where, a graded shallow point, so if a deer gets in there, that it can get back out of there, or?
well, one of the points that you made at the time, and I do have a pretty good memory,
Okay.
was to make sure that it had a slope, so that if deer got in, they could get out. And we have that slope,
That slope is shown in this new one as well, in this new drawing?
I wanna show you, couple pictures here. To show you how much variation there is in the groundwater, that was taken last fall.
looks like it's pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
And this is
something I'd have
what
to
it was
see.
like a couple weeks ago.
Let's do
I can
side
wait,
by
I can
side.
wait. Yeah, see now, when I seen this pond done, these fingers were not in here. This pond was a rectangle.
Well,
And I'm the one that came and went and inspected this as a finished project.
I would disagree with you.
Well, you know, I just don't remember those fingers.
Because once we dug it and water started coming in, we could go back
Well,
without, another.
I just wonder why I
Yeah.
have a drawing that looks like this, and now I see pictures of it looking like this, that's,
Well, again, back then, that was the original drawing that we handed in that you permitted. We just decided, once we got into digging it, to make it smaller. With the fingers.
you just decided, okay.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is this right here, being this was the original footprint.
Right.
The pond with its fingers are inside of this
that is
original
correct.
footprint.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just trying to get clear, because
Yeah.
I have no idea, I've never seen this, but I'm gonna go, I'd like to see it.
You're welcome to stop in anytime.
Any fishing?
I've had friends of mine that have asked me to stock it, but, quite frankly, the pond is usable from end of March to about the end of June. Then it starts to drop.
How deep is it?
5.5 feet, and to answer one of the analyst's questions, it's a dug pond, it does not have a liner, and it's on bedrock. So we're right down onto the hard pan.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's its deepest part is 5.5 feet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's. In all these years of doing this kind of work, when I wanna demonstrate to a potential client what kind of work we do, I take them here. Because this is my showplace. I spend a lot of time on the site, I'm basically her land use manager, and, I'm really proud of what we did. We've had some issues with, neighbors and ATVs, had a lot of issues.
ATVs riding around?
Yes. At first, we tried to be generous and work with them, and it didn't take too long for that to become problematic. So we've done a lot of things to shut the property off for ATV access. We've also worked with the Hubbardston Police, Officer Blood, I believe. They've had some issues with some breaking and entering and people coming in the back way off of Whitney Street to do whatever. So the Hubbardston Police do have a key to the place, they have access. So, again,
Yep.
we try to be as helpful as possible.
Now, it looks like here, we're gonna bring the pond right up to the wetlands, right up to the buffer zone.
Well, one of the things that I had requested is that I would like to move the pond 15 feet closer to the wetland. It would still give a 10-foot buffer, and quite frankly, by the regulations, we can convert up to 20,000 square feet of wetland into whatever, pond or whatever. I don't even wanna go there. I did a project once that was a wetland conversion, and it's a permitting nightmare, it's a ton of work. So we wanna stay out of the wetland. Definitely don't wanna do that. So, I think the commission has answered one question. No, it's not a fine pond. And I guess the other question, that we'd like to, get some concurrence on is the determination of applicability going to be sufficient for us to proceed based on the reputation and the cooperation that we've had with the Conservation Commission in the past? I've been in front of 3 boards in this town, and we've always bent over backwards to do the right thing.
Where is this pond gonna be graded for an animal to get out of it? I don't,
It would be the same 3-to-1 type slope.
where? It doesn't.
All of it, for the most part, all of it, if you look at that picture. It's a little shallower on the
3-to-1
south
is still, 3-to-1 is still pretty steep for an animal to get out of.
They do it, it's not
Well-
that much of a problem.
I would want them to see more than a 3-to-1 grade.
Well, if you look at that photo I just gave you, where was it? It shows the slope.
Do you have the photos, Tom?
I think he's got it.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
he's got them hidden under here.
Here it is, here we go. There you go. That's pretty much a 3-to-1 slope.
That pond is pretty, that's a few weeks ago, so it's pretty full right now, huh?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Richard, have you seen this? Okay.
You know, if you'd like to see it, you know, if you wanna come out on Saturday, you know,
I think I came in at the very end when they were finishing up.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking questions mostly because I have
certainly.
no idea
Right.
about this at all.
Personally, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't know how DCR, MDC, how all of these.
Well, first of all, MDC is not, part of.
Not,
this-
not
this-
I know,
this
not
permitting,
part of it, but,
path.
but DCR is.
I'm assuming, Tom, that you'd bring in excavators, I can see the tree line all along here.
Right.
You're gonna bring in an excavator, what are you planning on doing with all the dirt?
There is a gravel pit that is part of the property, and it's located on the other side of what used to be Hubbardston Brook. There still is, between One Beaver Pond, the roadway, and the wetland, there's approximately 100 feet of riverine habitat. But would I call it a river or a stream? No. Is it perennial? Most of the time, but, you know,
So
it's
the
not
dirt's
that.
gonna stay on site, you're not
Yeah,
trucking it out?
the gravel pit, although it's part of the property, is in Templeton. It's right on the town line. One of the reasons for me personally, to not do a notice of intent is the abutters notification for both towns. Yeah, it's about 20 or 25 people. It's a pain in the neck,
Yeah.
you know. And to answer your question, it's really up to the commission to make a decision on whether or not this is elevated or should be elevated to an NOI. If you feel, again, based on our relationship in the past, that we can do a good job and do it right, that it's not gonna need a notice of intent, that would be helpful to me. Does it make a tremendous amount of difference in the outcome? No, it's just a bigger bill for my client and more work for me, that's all. It's up to you, gentlemen, of course.
Because I've never seen it before, Tony, it's hard for me to make
Well,
any kind of an assessment. I don't know if Brian has ever seen this, I think it's
No,
something that.
Brian, I know Brian has.
I think it's
No,
something
Brian.
that, you know,
Yeah.
not anything against you, but
Right.
just we oughta at least discuss it, take a look at it, because none of us, I mean, I can't make any kind of a decision or recommendation on something I have not seen.
I agree 100% with
Okay,
what
I
you're
just,
saying.
I can't,
And I have no problem with
you know,
that.
and.
All right, yeah, I think everybody should kind of familiarize themselves with this project
And
in
I'd like to
general.
read this, do you know what I mean? But not right now.
Well, you know, I've served on 3 commissions, and I started in 1973. The last commission I served on was in Lancaster, that was my town at the time. I served on that commission for 10 years. Half of those years were either as chair or vice chair. So, you know, we know what you guys go through, and we appreciate consideration, and as I said earlier, we're never gonna pick a fight with a commission or any board, we're just gonna do what we're told. That's worked out really well for us in the past, and would like to continue to do that.
Yeah, I definitely would want Brian to see this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a much better idea of it.
So when would you, gentlemen like to?
Well,
Take a ride
I
out?
would think next meeting.
As far as taking a look at it,
Well, no, we could go look at it. I mean, you guys can go look at it anytime
we can reach you at this number,
Yes,
and we could set something up.
508.
I think Brian is away,
Yeah, for a couple of weeks.
He comes back, in a few days, I believe.
so, I mean,
He'll be back in a few days.
Brian is the chair, the regular
Yes.
chair
Chair.
of the committee, so I think I can almost guarantee he's going to wanna see this.
Sure.
So I
And-
would say we could wait till he comes back, Tony, and then you could come, it'd be good to have you come and like give
Well,
us a
yeah,
little bit
because
of
I am
history.
familiar with what was there and,
And we can drive right down to it.
gonna have to, or
I know where you're coming from, believe me.
Well, we
No.
can't do the walking anymore.
No,
This is,
no.
this is the last
Walking days
wetland
are
I
over.
flagged.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna flag another wetland. I'm just too old.
I work in the logging business, I know all about delineating wetlands, I mean,
That's how I started out. I was a logger,
really,
yeah. I flunked out of college.
so you
and,
got the logging business, that
well,
doesn't
the
say much
logging
for us, does it?
And out of that, I went into the tree business, and, it's kinda crazy. Then, we had a fatality, lost everything, and I ended up in the horticultural business, and, I built one of the largest greenhouses, in New England at the
No kidding.
time. Oh, yeah. I had a lot of, you know what I mean.
Of course,
A lot of, yeah,
Of course,
thank you. I went out and I borrowed, oh, God, it was over $400,000 in 1981, when the interest rate was 14%. We got that was the federal farm loan. So we built a big greenhouse and, continued to build it. I got involved in conservation, I got involved in, rivers and dam relicensing and things like that. And I went, down to DC to help start a nonprofit. I came back one weekend, my wife said to me, you know, you're running around with some big dogs down there. I said, yeah, I know, there are a lot of really smart people. She said, you need to go back to school. I went back to school for the environment, and, as soon as I got my master's degree, that was it, sold the greenhouse, went into this business. Been doing that ever since. So, I mean, I'm almost 81.
Doing good for 81.
Well, it's amazing what 24 pills a day do for you.
Alrighty, I think we should entertain a motion that
Continue.
we, further this until Brian gets back and, then
Yeah.
put together, a walk, take a
On
look at this.
next meeting, sorry, I'm just pulling up the calendar so we can tell you the date. Will be the first Tuesday in May, which is the 6th. So continue to May 6th.
Alright, and you say that we have that print on file.
Yes, I have it in the office, we have 2 copies, it's on the drive, I shared with you as well, but it's small, so if you
Okay.
wanna come look at the big.
Well, I don't wanna come look at it now, I just wanna, that we have it when Brian's here, that
Yes.
we can come
May
here
6th.
and, yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you.
okay,
Right in there too.
yeah.
Outstanding,
I'll make a motion, we, continue until May 6th.
I second that.
All in favor, aye.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
So gentlemen, morning meetings are best for me because of health issues.
Yep,
This, being here tonight is killing me.
I know what you mean.
Well, life goes on.
So it would be best to try to get a hold of you in the morning to go.
You can call me anytime, but,
Yeah.
for the site visit itself, if you can do, mid-mornings, 9 to
Yeah.
10:30 or 11, that would be great, you know? But again, if you can't, if that doesn't work for you, we'll make it work for me.
It's good it works around my nap.
Well,
Okay, Tom,
thank you very much. I do appreciate your time, and
it was a pleasure meeting you.
I'm hoping this will be my last project. Quite frankly, if it was for anybody else except Joey Edsel, I wouldn't be doing it.
These
But,
people have been a good client for you.
Well, she's been great. We spent a lot of money there. We've re-sculpted a lot of the terrain. We've done different projects and stuff like that, but,
It's all the reclaimed cardboard that they put all
yeah,
over
paper
it.
fiber.
Yeah.
The contractor on the site will be, Pete Lyman, do you know Pete?
Yes,
Pete's a good man.
Yes.
He's more than a good man. He's a good friend as well.
yep,
And, he's done all of our work on that site, and, you can't beat him. He's first class.
pretty well. Okay,
So where are you cutting right now?
we're actually doing a job for the Nimrod, League down in Princeton.
Okay,
And, we're doing a wildlife habitat and a, cut down there, so it's coming along good, do you know what I mean?
are you using harvesters and skidders?
Yes,
All right.
yep, yep.
All right, next on the agenda, certificate of compliance for 125 Lee Templeton Road.
I think that's Richard. You want to look at that?
Yeah,
You went and looked at it?
looks fine.
Okay.
I have the certificate.
Now, have you turned in paperwork to get paid for these sidewalks?
No, that's fine.
Well, don't make it fine, because it's your gas and it's your
It's the
time
latest plan.
and
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is
I
it,
will
big
keep a
bucks?
look.
Am I missing
40,
something
it's
here?
40 bucks. It's $40 when you go out and do this.
Oh, no kidding.
So,
Richard didn't tell me that. I think he's been collecting my share
Well-
every time.
I never got paid since I've been here.
well, I mean, that's up to you, but there are forms and you turn them in and you do get paid for this. Okay. Recap of DPW site visits.
Here you go. That's for you. That's that certificate. Right there.
Yes, right,
Is that, did
first
somebody
floor
meet
on the
with
left.
Travis to go look at, you did that?
Yeah.
What's that?
You went with Travis to go, I don't know what.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And you weren't lying.
Oh, I told you.
Oh, about Travis? A nice grumpy old man.
What's that?
I said Travis is a nice grumpy old man.
Travis is wonderful. I have no complaints with Travis.
He's not old.
No, he's not old
And he's still a kid.
compared to me.
Compared to me.
Yeah,
But he's
you know,
what,
he's-
50?
Yeah, he's somewhere around there.
50, 51. I think he
Easy
just
for
turned
you,
51.
you're a kid.
Something like that.
Thank you. These were the site inspection papers, we just need to sign off on, you need to sign off that you went and whether they need to do an NOI or no NOI.
What is that for?
The site walks for Travis.
Oh,
Oh,
you did that, so.
oh. Yeah, I think he should do a notice of intent.
You do, okay. I need to tell him that.
He's gonna be thrilled, but that's what I think.
They're not doing blanket NOIs for DPWs anymore, I learned.
What is it,
Well,
site specific?
Yes,
Yeah, 'cause we used to give him
there's
a
3 of
blanket
them.
for
You
the
did all
whole
3, right, with him?
year.
Oh.
And
Right.
you just sign on the line as well.
What was he looking to do?
They're gonna change culvert pipes. 'Cause, 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 'c
Three culverts.
Three culvert pipes of where? Brigham, and then up on Barry Road by the cutoff there.
Yep.
That stream that runs across there.
Oh,
Bye, have a good night, Tom.
Good night.
NOI or RSD? Okay.
Not sure what the other one is.
I mean, I can't concede that anybody's gonna complain about it, so
One more
let 'em-
signature, sorry.
let them do it and do it right.
I will tell him he needs to file that NOI.
He'll love
so
that,
you can be
but-
the heavy, right? Is that what we're
Yeah.
saying?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I've been yelled at before, I'll be yelled at again.
Oh, I'm sure that he'll yell, but,
Alright, so that's the recap of the DPW business, so those were
Yeah.
just, Tony, those were just some culvert changes on the roads?
It's all gonna be resurfaced.
Oh, yeah.
So there's three culverts that have to be reworked,
Yeah,
and they're all out in broad daylight, and especially the one down at Brigham Pond. Everybody is gonna be looking at that one, so.
oh, that's the one right at the bottom, right?
Yes, right at the
Basically
bottom.
where the water comes under the road?
Yes, so I definitely think it's certainly a notice of intent on that one. They're gonna be a lot.
That one, and then you get the other one on Barry Road, which runs through there.
Right at Parsons Road.
Yeah,
Yeah, right by Parsons.
Oh,
It
yeah,
runs-
yeah, yeah.
It
I'm
runs
with
from
you.
Parsons over to
okay,
Barry cutoff.
so now we go to old business?
And now let's see. we got
Sorry, guys, it was a
recap.
big agenda.
Public hearing
That stuff's still
continued,
on
a
hold,
notice
right?
of intent for
We haven't
construction
heard
of a new
anything on
single
that,
I
family.
have.
Oh, you have?
I think that's gonna be Leanne's then.
Yeah, so I've heard a bit from them. They're working with the DEP to get it all sorted out. I included in your packet on that purple tab, they included some new maps as well as a narrative. And then let me pull up the
It's not right
email.
now, it was dry. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night, Tom.
Okay, so Mark Popham had said, on the 18th of March, he responded to the DEP woman that he'd been corresponding with. Her name is Kimberly Roth, regarding their initial concerns, and he said that, this response is offered on behalf of the applicant and owner in order to move towards securing an NOI, a file number for Lot A Birches Road in Hubbardston, so that the Conservation Commission can close its hearing, reporting on the NOI, and issue an order of conditions. Attached are 3 plans included in your packet relative to the NOI and your comments. One is a survey plan prepared by Stoddard Engineering depicting USGS topography on the full parcel along with floodplain, mean annual high water, vegetated wetland buffer zone, riverfront delineations. Another plan has been prepared by me, updating the original NOI site plan to incorporate the Stoddard plan resource delineations and convert local datum to USGS elevations in the area of proposed single-family home construction. It should be noted that the proposed work shown on the plan is essentially unchanged from the original plan approved by the Conservation Commission in 2023. The third plan depicts an alternative layout of proposed work to move the dwelling outside of the riverfront area. Attached also is the NOI Form 3 amended to reflect any changes to the quantification of wetland resource impacts, an updated narrative to reflect the same regarding the filing fee calculation in addition to the original single-family home amount paid. It would appear that the proposed activity on this lot would entail 160 LF linear feet of riverfront at $2 per linear foot for $320, which is limited to $200 for a single-family house project. It would then appear that the Commonwealth and Town of Hubbardston are due another $100 each. Please confirm and advise how to handle relative to the fee transmittal form related to additional payment to the Commonwealth. And Kim responded, it sounds like you're discussing adding a category 6 linear foot delineation fee below, which is typically reserved for an ANRAD application. Lot A, Birches Road, is an outstanding riverfront area multiplier. Anyways, they're just talking about fees. Please submit a copy of the previous single-family home, of the previous cleared checks to me. Please submit the balance. She didn't. Could you please forward the entire NOI package to me along with revised materials? So they're working on it. I haven't heard anything else after that.
We never voted on these two.
I didn't think so.
We never voted on these two.
No,
We voted on that one they built the house on,
right.
because
And
he was
these-
having issues with
And
these
these two have just been continued
Yeah.
and continued and
Cause he was having
continued.
issues with the DEP or DCR or
Yeah.
I thought
whatever.
Mark Popham kind of like,
I thought
didn't he
that they,
distance himself from
well, I
this thing?
thought that they fired him. Or whatever, it is what,
I thought he
I
wasn't
got out of it.
representing him.
he wasn't
Anymore.
representing them anymore.
That was the impression I got.
Yeah.
But
Well, they must have hired him back again.
Alright.
So, that's the update.
Alright, so we just move along on this one?
we'll continue it again.
We'll just
I guess
continue it
so.
again, I guess.
I move we continue it.
Alright. So you're in favor,
Richard?
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Continue. Alright.
But I know we didn't vote on those two lots, I know that.
Alright, public hearing continued, a notice of intent for construction of a new family home on Birches Road, alright. Alright, I guess we're on communications. Any communications? No. Matters not reasonably anticipated by chair? No. Public comments? Nothing,
We found out about that.
Nothing tonight.
nothing tonight.
So we found out about that, other wood lot.
What'd
The
you
one
find out?
that they were talking about on Morgan Road.
What, oh, okay.
The one the letter came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, what,
Oh.
what went on with that?
That was, what Chucky Wooded.
That's,
I meant to to add this to the agenda. I just found out about it this morning. I talked to Leon, Smith, the owner of the property. Brian had wanted to go walk it and speak to him in person. He is open to doing that. Whenever you guys are available, I have his phone number and you can just give him a call. I have it at the office.
Alright, and Chuck Woodard is cutting the.
Yeah.
I
So it's all
talked,
done right,
I talked to Charlie Wood.
and the state's been down,
He told me
looked
that,
at it too, so.
right, exactly what Richard is saying. He told me when I looked at that, there's a vernal pool which they're staying away from. They're not going into any wetlands. He said he's going under a change of use. And the only thing that I can add to it is that I talked to Chris Capone, who is the state forester, and he said, with us, it really has nothing pertaining to us because there's no wetland issue that I know of, but if.
Except for the vernal pool.
Right, but if he's staying away from that, it's not a problem. And the only other thing is if the land is under chapter, which I believe that it is, then it is up to them to amend the plan depending on who wrote the plan. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Kurt Leslie wrote the plan for that. So, but again, that is going to be a state forester issue that is not our purview,
And-
which is
and-
good for me.
And while we're working on it, the wood is being cut. Okay.
I believe that he
So
is
by the
too.
time we get to it, it'll be cleared. Alright.
Right, I think he's making from what I understand, he's making a pasture or something out there. That's the impression that I got. Okay?
Okay. Alright.
Leanne, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do we have to leave these in the packet?
No, you can keep
No, you
them.
keep it.
Right, so I can take this home and like look at it, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Keep all that
printed
paperwork
off
if you want.
everything related to both RDAs for you. Anything that's included in these binders, I have online, so you have access to it.
Yeah.
You can keep the papers, I don't want them.
Like I can find something online.
Well, in case you ever took a gander, your email's in there.
Yeah.
Do you guys get the emails I sent to you?
Yep.
Okay, just checking.
My wife gets it.
Okay.
Yeah, his wife does it. He doesn't.
I don't know that I ever get an email from you.
Okay, I do send them to you
Oh, yeah.
I have two different emails from you. The Ritzy Dog one doesn't work.
Should,
I use a different one. I don't.
you should use Anthony Coppola, 422
Mhm.
@gmail.com.
Mhm.
Okay?
The thing.
It's all right, I don't mind getting that. I appreciate
The
that.
milfoil thing is pretty standard. I'm
Pretty
sure-
standard, we do it every couple of years, we do it there, and we do it at Pinecrest,
Yeah,
2 places.
and, you know, going back to the Thomas Christopher thing, I don't think a dog training thing is gonna fall under agriculture,
No.
I think you.
Oh, no, no, no.
And that's what the
that's-
state was saying.
you know,
And,
If you read your emails, you would know.
and I would guarantee you that those fingers were not in that pond when I looked at it. I mean, I'm the guy that inspected that when it was finished, and there were no fingers.
You
That was
couldn't
a-
have looked at that and not noticed it.
That was a
Because I-
rectangle pond. I had a little sore spot that they weren't, they was really steeping the sides and nothing was gonna be able to get out of it that went in it, so I wanted to look at it and make sure that had been done. One end of it was done, but those fingers were not in there.
I think it was a good call to table that until we do it.
Yes, I think so too.
So,
All right.
Are
And
we
that'll
done?
give DCR a chance to look at the plans.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean.
All right,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Richard? All in favor?
Right.
Always. All right,
Thank you.
nice